Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. From the deepest jungles to the outmost reaches of space and beyond the veils of death itself, the Bald and Bonkers boys are back for another episode. It's no secret that you won't know what will happen next, but Dakota Franson and Chris Mole promise that all bets are off. Viewer discretion and straitjackets advised. These two idiots live up to the name.
So, any indication that actually helped us?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 0. It didn't really help us. Just put me back where I'm missing the spot.
Yeah, I know. It's like this. We've gotten so fucking used to bantering each other like this.
And I'm going to open the chat here. I've tweeted this out. I would say tweeted this out.
Yeah, I tweeted it out. Made sure to tag some of our former guests about tonight's topic because I think this might be something of interest to them. And I'm sorry that we're a bit late. Chris got a bit lost.
I was lost. I'll admit that I was lost. And you may be thinking, how does one get lost in Streamlabs? Well, I come in. I presumed that it was scheduled, so I just clicked on it, not realizing that it already put me in when I come in. I was lost. I'm kind of. You ever watched the film? Oh, fuck it! It's come out my head. It'll come back to me. But I'm really bad at getting lost.
Yeah, I can't necessarily blame you. I would be screwed if Google Maps didn't exist.
Oh no. Google Maps, I would say, is the best. If you're watching, whoever owns Google, we can get a donation to our channel. I use Siri. I know that I shouldn't have said that because I know it's lit up. But the maps on the iPhone, I'm going to say this: the iPhone's a brilliant thing, but see the maps, they're utter shit. On the iPhone.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Nardia Nirvi in the chat. What is it?
Exactly.
What is it?
Is it? What is it?
What is it? What is it?
What is it? What is it? Well, I was initially going to plan on talking about it last night, but Alyssa finally answered her email.
You can talk about it now. He's finally got his hair transplant in through the post, ladies and gentlemen. It's finally here. It took a bit of pain for, a bit of the old cash. It's a special glue you've got to apply at the top of your bald head, to hold it in place for when he's like doing the diving and stuff at the UFO event. But it finally came.
Do I need to tell Jenny about your other girlfriends?
I've not got any other girlfriends. Jenny, I'm just in a happy mood tonight. That's all.
Yes, he does.
He's winding me. Yeah, he's winding you up.
I'm not.
He's just jealous. He's just jealous. That's what.
Why would I be jealous?
Jealousy. That's
why would I be jealous? Had I not known about the distance between you two, I would have questioned whether or not she was locked in a cellar.
Look, I can't help it if I'm just a handsome young guy. That's what I could say. Yes, there'll be people out there rubbing their glasses and thinking, holy fuck, what?
It doesn't just kind of look like Grimace, from McDonald's. Just really, the purple guy, the Grimace shake that everybody was faking, poisoned him on social media. You kind of look like Grimace.
I don't
very
have a clue
pale
who you're
person.
Is this a younger generation thing?
It's a McDonald's thing.
You see, I don't eat at McDonald's. I don't like McDonald's. I think McDonald's is absolutely disgusting.
So,
I don't eat McDonald's.
People are probably wondering, what the fuck are we talking about tonight?
Exactly. What the fuck are we actually talking about? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I wonder about that 90% of the time I'm talking with you. And as usual, you're throwing me off my groove. So, on August 2nd, it was I became aware of this incident at about 10 o'clock at night, which pisses me off because I was at fucking work when it happened and I couldn't speed off to where this was going down. But I live in Southern Idaho here in the U.S. And we had a potential mass UFO sighting. Multiple eyewitnesses. This was even called into local law enforcement. People were that worried because some reported low-flying aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
You may have seen it. I lived it, motherfucker.
I seen it on TikTok. I seen all the hype about it, and I was like, "What the hell's going on here?" And I did see some stuff, and I was like, "Oh dear, look at that!" A little things. Some of them are quite big, but are showing themselves.
Some of those videos were legitimate planes. You could hear the engine, see the lights. However, there was also reports of large triangular craft just hovering in the air. That's what initially caught my interest, and I've been trying to follow the story for a while.
They're here already, but they're showing themselves more and more now.
Those of you who've been following the Bonkers channels, you probably already seen the little videos of me trying to gather eyewitnesses. There's still people trying to talk about this, trying to figure out what the hell's happened, because there was absolutely no notice. And I also will say this now, I cannot completely rule out that it wasn't a military test run, which is very common for this area. However, as I said, numerous calls were made to local law enforcement agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And usually whenever the military does drills like that, they try to give heads up to either the press or local dispatch centers. Now, whether or not someone just didn't do their job, or whether or not getting that information out, that's a very high possibility. I've seen that happen before. But no one knew what was going on. Absolutely no one knew what was going on. And there's already some people that are saying, oh my God, Blue Beam has started. Nuh-uh.
Yeah. Or the Rapture. That's a new one. That's another one.
No, that's the direct messages I've been getting. It's like, it's Project Blue Beam. It's Project Blue Beam. No, I've actually dealt with this situation in my own fucking backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, now the direction it took off in was well-known military bases that have ties to screwing around with UFO contactees.
Yeah.
To which I've learned have been happening since Roswell.
It's very interesting. I mean, I've seen some of the footage. You've got footage, obviously, to show tonight, I take it. But I've seen some of it, and it's very, very interesting.
Now, you got to be careful. Some of those were AI generated the second the news started going out.
Yeah, there's a lot of fakers out there, guys. And that is one big point that I do need to make out there. That there's a lot of people that fake this stuff. But there is a lot of real content out there.
You got to be especially careful because this AI is getting a lot more sophisticated, a lot more convincing.
Oh, look, AI has been running the world for over a year now. AI has been running a lot of stuff now over a year. A lot of people don't realize. And so is this the sighting map? Is it?
This is a map that all these pins are the locations of known eyewitnesses to this.
Uh-huh.
Now, originally, it looked like it came flying from the south. It was spotted flying above Twin Falls, where it was seen hovering before taking off towards Gooding, Shoshone, towards Dietrich, and heading about northeast.
Right.
Several videos have started coming together. Most of them are mostly show the airplanes. A couple of them may have actually caught the triangle craft, but I'm trying to get a closer look at them. Here's the thing. The triangle craft showed up by itself. By the time it got to about here, that's when it was intercepted.
Here, a question for you. Is there any military bases in that area?
Look at this. No military bases in the area. And yeah, there's a lot. There's most recruitment centers. This is actually a bomb range right here. That you can actually, there's actually a hot springs down that way. You can actually rent
because You've been there a few times. Aye, that's right. Aye.
Yeah, there's been several times when they're doing bomb testing right through there that you can book a room at this hot spring, sit in a hot tub, watch them blow stuff up in what looks like an alien invasion movie.
That's interesting. That I take it all the blue dots are the people that sighted everything.
This is everything from the August 2nd incident.
Go and zoom
all
out for
the
me for a
red
minute.
ones, all the red ones are known military bases that have had activity here.
Is there no meant to be a UFO base meant to be near you? Is
Actually,
there no meant
yes.
to be? Whereabouts is that?
This is actually listed in Elena's book. That
Yeah,
she just specifies that it's in the Snake River Canyon, stretching from Twin Falls up to about Idaho Falls. That's about almost 2-hour drive worth right there. So right through here.
It makes you wonder why it all clustered together like that. It makes you wonder why it all clustered together like that.
Definitely makes you wonder. You actually go out towards Idaho Falls, where towards the end of where that base is mentioned, one of the main nuclear laboratories is there. That does have ties with CIA.
Yeah. There's just something about that map that's something that's playing with my mind. I don't know what it is. It's something that maybe I've seen. I don't know.
Now, this is just... I actually learned a little bit something while trying to research this case, seeing if the media start talking about it, because only one local news agency actually started talking about it. And now, as far as they still kind of joked about it being UFOs, a lot of people in the area cited it. It's actually not that uncommon for UFOs to get called into law enforcement. Usually they get reported as low-flying aircraft, but nevertheless, that if we were to go through a police logs, that's probably what you would want to go through.
There's a big moth come fleeing at me there. It's been sent by the aliens to get me.
Oh, it's Mothman sperm.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that's very interesting. That.
Oh, I also found something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I found something else interesting. I found proof that the military bases near me have been screwing with people since Roswell. And I wish I knew this sooner.
Just showing fake ships and stuff like that.
No, hold on. Let me talk. I wish I knew this sooner because a guest we've actually had on this show has reported on it.
Right.
Kevin Randall, the one who wrote about Roswell.
Right. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So, if you actually look up the UFO activity right around the couple weeks leading up to Roswell, you have the Kenneth Arnold UFO incident where he spotted a bunch of craft near Mount Rainier. Kenneth Arnold was actually operating out of Boise, Idaho. Little fun fact for you.
That's interesting.
Around me, all these purple dots are incidents that took place right around Roswell. Number of UFO reports. There's 8 to 10 disc spotted in a V formation. Right here in Twin Falls, there was one incident where at least 35 discs were reported being in the sky at one point. There was also the Twin Falls saucer hoax that took place within a few days after Roswell.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Officially,
on YouTube about that.
Officially, I mean, the FBI was brought in on this investigation as well as the military. The investigation was turned over to the military the next day. It was announced that it was staged. They wrote it off as bored teenagers decided to build about a 30-inch little UFO.
Yeah.
Tossed it into someone's yard, make it look like a tiny UFO crash.
Yeah.
After this incident was reported, this helped kill press information, the press talking about UFOs. Now, if I were to add the information from Dr. Greer, as well as some of the declassified UFO documents that have been coming out in the last couple of years, there'd be a shit ton more dots on this.
Even kind of question for you. See the first sighting of the people. That's the blue ones, right? Go and zoom up to one of the blue ones in the centre. Is there anything special about those areas? Is there anything special at all? Is there next to like infrastructure? Are they next to a certain type of infrastructure? Like maybe phone masts or you get where I'm going with this? Like a power grid. Go and just have a look.
Yeah. Let me bring this up. The black dots are where I've had incidents myself.
Right.
Right about here.
Obviously, they're interested. Obviously, whoever these beings are or whoever they are, they're interested in these locations.
Right about here, I've physically seen lights hanging around some of the cell phone towers. Almost got myself into a car accident trying to get a picture of it.
See, it makes you wonder if they're using that to like listen in.
Maybe. It wouldn't take much.
I find it quite interesting how a lot of it's like barn and land, and there's no much sightings round about that, but there's more sightings. Obviously, there's got to be people, more likely to be people in built-up areas, right? But obviously, you'll have farmers and stuff too. You would think there'd be more.
Idaho actually has one of the biggest concentrations of national park areas. So there's a lot of abandoned areas, and where a lot of missing 411 cases actually take place as well.
I think they're scouting the area. Do you know that? I think they're scouting. There must be something special about that area.
Yeah,
that people have not realized yet.
Yeah, because right about here is usually where I've been known to hang out.
But even before that, there was the Roswell crash. Okay, I mean, so wait to know there's obviously something really special about this area. Ugh, there's a big beastie trying to bite me. It's a bloody moth again. It's probably been sent by the alien forces. But anyway, there's something special. I don't know what it is. It's just weird. I feel weird doing it. There's something special about that area. Is there any particular minerals in that area?
There's all sorts.
Is there gold?
You can actually go mine. There's several spots that are believed to be lost gold mines. You can actually there's spots within a couple hours drive from me where you can go mining for crystals.
See, that's an interesting. You said that crystals. I mean, everybody knows that crystals have got certain beneficial things, but obviously there's things that you can make crystals. Obviously, our friends up there can use them for. It makes you wonder. Maybe there's large deposits of crystals, but they're deep under the ground.
There is.
Obviously, they can get to it easier than we can.
Chris, Idaho is literally known as the gem state.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people that own crystal shops and stuff like that, and they go there to like. There's special places they go and find crystals for the shops.
They probably got a supplier out here.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, but it makes you wonder. Maybe the UFOs are charging up for the crystals. Maybe they're using the energy from the crystals that we don't know anything about yet.
Funny you should say that.
Charging stations.
Right about here. This was actually something that Elena indirectly helped identify.
Right.
I was coming back from visiting family members in the next town over. Just a little birthday party, nothing special. As we're driving home, I look out to my right. There's this orange ship. That's kind of a hexagon in shape. And it had a bit of a wobble. Within 40 feet of me, easy. Had it sat there long enough, I would have been able to get probably one of the best damn pictures in the world of it.
Yeah, that's
actually a known alien species.
Who are they?
They're known as the Eric. They're spelled the way it's spelled is
who's the Raku?
Okay. What's that?
Who's the Raku?
The Raku?
The Raku or something they're called.
What do you
Just
mean?
wondering. There's a species, something called the raccoon. That isn't there? There's a species called the raccoon, isn't there? I don't know where that's coming from, but when you just keep going.
Now the Eric, they are considered greys, but they have no interest in human abduction. They're actually more like intergalactic geologists.
See, that's weird you say that, yeah.
And it's been noted in a few different sources that they don't really spend a lot of time on Earth. They use it as more of a pit stop to grab what they need and go.
So obviously they're taking the crystals. They've obviously got ways of taking the crystals without disturbing the ground.
Exactly.
Maybe beaming it out or something. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a big, huge hole. Maybe that's what causes sinkholes, them beaming stuff.
Maybe.
Maybe them beaming stuff out because cavers have came across like rooms filled with crystals. But then there's bits of the rooms that's been filled with crystals that are just like all missing. So it makes you wonder, as if they've been beamed up. I don't know where I got that for, the raccoon. I don't know where that's came from. That's really annoying, that now. It just like popped into my head. The raccoon.
And knowing you, and it's probably twisted as something else. So if anybody has any idea of what Chris may be talking about, please let us know.
Yes, it's when they phone me up, they always use the dial tone, it deletes me. But it's interesting, crystals, because obviously crystals, I've got crystals right across from me, all different types of crystals. Right, I've got a shelf full of crystals. And we all know that certain crystals are for different energies.
Yeah.
Do we know what type of crystals are in those areas? Quartz or...
There's huge amounts of quartz around here.
See, that's interesting, that is interesting, that, because there's some places in Scotland where there's been large UFO sightings, and there's a lot of like quartz in about.
Yeah, actually, where the craft originally came from, there's a lot of quartz up in those mountains as well that you can literally just pick off the side of the mountain.
See, there must be something more to quartz. Obviously, we know it's got some benefits to us, but to them, they might use it as fuel. They might do something to make it as fuel. We don't know.
The way certain ones are processed, it actually helps higher dimensional beings communicate with lower ones.
There you go.
There's certain ones where it can be used as fuel, and it's also believed to be connected with the creation of life itself.
That's interesting.
You work crystals just right. Like when we had Dan Willis on, he named off a couple locations around me as well. Ones of interest. Sun Valley, there's a lot of UFO stuff that happens around there. And it's also a well-known vacation spot for the elite.
And maybe that's where they go to rejuvenate themselves.
Possibly.
What's in the medibeds? The medibeds. What's in the medibeds to make the medibeds?
Frequency-based technology to activate the cell's natural structures to completely.
They don't use any crystals, do they? They don't use any type of crystal source, do they?
I believe they do, yes.
So is this them coming down to mine it and then take it back to put into the use of medibeds?
Maybe. Because again, like I said, there's a lot of people that are already trying to toss around, it's a TR3B. Maybe.
Honestly, I've only seen one of them in my life. I've only seen one. And I think it was definitely a TR3B because it looked too rough. It looked like somebody had put it together in a hanger with screws and bolts. Whereas I've seen other ones that are totally, absolutely, completely, and utterly smooth, like an egg type. And ones that I've seen online that are real, that have been proven to be real, you can see that some of them, obviously, a lot of it is man-made. The TR3B. But it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Going back to the crystals, it's either a power source or something, or it's used for something very important.
There's a number of different applications that can be done, and I'm not just quoting New Age stuff. It's quartz that's utilized in some of the quantum computers.
Yes,
because it can actually store information
mm-hmm.
in a way that would increase the storage space of our regular computers by thousands.
Here's something I bet you didn't ken. I learned this the other day. I honestly didn't know this, and it's actually an intriguing thing. Everybody's seen drones. Everybody's got drones. Drones are amazing how they keep in flight, right? But they use a thing inside it, like a wee gyro inside it, like a wee it's just like a wee yellow box. Some of them are yellow, some of them are red, right? I've got a friend that cut one of those open the other day to see how it works. And do you know what was inside it? A big bit of quartz.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you wonder, some of these ships are oddly shaped, right? Maybe they've got something like crystal inside it that stops them from being wobbling about all over the place and crashing.
And something about the flow, and like you said, it wasn't until we started testing nukes that this stuff really started coming in force.
See, here's the interesting thing. That's when it all really kicked off. When it really kicked off. But there's actually reports out there. People don't realize this. Elena probably knows about this, and a lot of other people know about this, and you probably know about this. But going back to the Wild West time, like the 1840s and the 1830s,
possibly even longer than that.
Possibly even longer than that. Maybe the very early 1750s. There was sights, like airships in the sky, and they weren't the airships because they moved too quick, and then they were gone. I think there is something special about certain parts of the United States, right? There's parts of the UK where there's loads of UFOs. It's like Loch Ness, for instance. There's meant to be a Loch Ness monster in there and stuff, but a lot of people don't realise that it's full of ley lines and it's full of crystals, especially quartz. I think it must be a way of charging. There must be something that they're using. It's like Rosslyn Chapel near me. A lot of people don't realise it, but there's a lot of like ley lines run right through the church. And a lot of UFO sightings have been seen above that church. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like a charging point? And it's the same today with the pyramids too.
Mm-hmm.
There's been crystals found there too.
They were initially believed to be covered in quartz.
Yes. Until they were stripped bare.
Mm-hmm.
And they were made to have gold in them too until that was stripped bare, I know.
Something about the quartz, if I don't remember the exact composition of it, but it does serve as a free energy alternative if processed correctly. If I'm not mistaken, Tesla used quite a bit of quartz in his experiments as well. But there's something, when I was researching this, here's something that I couldn't help but wonder. Like I said, a lot of declassified documents have proven that some of the UFOs that have been spotted in my area were in fact man-made. It honestly blew my mind when I started seeing locations that are within 30 minutes of me during Dr. Greer's latest press conference, but something I got to think about. Think about if, say, the U.S. were to suddenly start dropping bombs, or go with a more historical example when Japan started bombing everybody for no reason.
Right.
That brought a lot of nations into the Second World War that initially wanted to stay out.
Yeah.
Leave everybody else there fighting. It's well documented that for some reason, after the nuclear tests were taking place, that's when UFOs started really coming in full force.
That's right.
How much of this was an intended invasion, but diplomatic efforts stepped up enough to where they started to realize we were just idiots not realizing what we were blowing up?
I mean, right. Let's go back a wee bit to the start of the war, to 1939, 1940. We all know that the Germans, they were building bombs. They were trying to build bombs. Mm-hmm. They were on the same as us, right? They were trying to build the same as the Americans. They were trying to build the bomb. And there was a lot of areas in Germany, special sites in Germany. There was a lot of UFO activity run about those sites, right? See, I've got a wee bit of a theory here. I do think that the Nazis had help, right? And I'll tell you, it's quite interesting. I was watching a program the other night there, and it was about the Third Reich, right? And it was about how their war was going on. And there's actually a recording of Adolf Hitler. You can actually find this, where he's talking to all his generals. And the generals are coming back to him and saying, listen, our tanks and our planes are getting shot down. They're getting destroyed by them. They're destroying our tanks. They're destroying our planes by them. But they wouldn't mention it. They wouldn't mention exactly what it was that was taking them out. And he went, we've lost 35,000 tanks in the space of 5 months. How is that possible? And he says, it's them. They're taking our tanks. They're taking our tanks. And they're taking our planes. They're taking the planes. And there's actually proof that obviously they were doing funny things with like UFOs and stuff like that. What was if we had made a deal with the ones and they were helping with the war? Like what's going on now, because there's a lot of UFO sightings over Europe right now, especially where it's happening right now. I mean, I actually watched a program about this. There was actually 2 German pilots, and they were going on about how this white glowing orb chased them. They chased them, and they managed to just get away. One of their friends' planes just cut out, everything cut out, and it just dropped like a stone. So it makes you wonder, was there an alien race that was not very happy with what was going on? Because the war in Germany just went bad, really bad at a certain point. It's like Mike the Naked Bigfoot, when he was talking about this, and he was saying that one day, for the first couple of years of the war, it was going brilliant for him. And then one day it just changed overnight. It just, as if somebody had done something to them. And then with the Nazi Bell that disappeared and then reappeared, was it in 1960? It was meant to be a crash site in the United States.
Yeah, it was believed did bear strong resemblance to the Nazi Bell.
Yeah. I think they've played a big part for a long time, whoever they are. But to be purely honest with you, I think there's been beings that's been living here for a long time that have had a part to play in a lot of things. I know a lot of people out there are saying, oh, they're UFOs, they're aliens for outer space. But yeah, they're for outer space and they are for different dimensions. But I do think that there's beings on this planet that are maybe hidden away, that are starting to come out now because they're getting a bit annoyed about how things are starting to go. I mean, everybody's heard of the inner Earth. Everybody's heard of the Atlantis under the sea and stuff like that. Who knows? What's your opinion on this?
There's a lot of what we're just finding out is coming forward that is widely believed to be connected to when Atlantis would have been around.
Yeah. And
let's just face it, and this is a phrase that a lot of people really need to learn how to be able to say and get rid of this religious sort of perspective that a lot of people are trying to build around the idea of UFOs. We don't know.
Yeah.
Now, it's pretty obvious. Something was going on with the Germans involving World War II. They obviously had help, but for some reason, it's like they started to realize whoever was helping them started to realize exactly what was being done. They decided to cut ties and get the hell out of there and wash their hands in the situation of it.
For the Germans, it literally changed within 24 hours. The war changed within 24 hours, and I think that was them leaving them. They basically went, right, I'm sorry, we're not having anything to do with what you're doing, because they obviously found out about what was really going on. And
which also kind of proves an interesting point. We have this idea because they're higher dimensional, higher density beings that for some reason they're going to be all knowing. There's still war in these higher dimensions. They are still having to have communication with what's going on with the worlds that they're helping in order to make sure that the right processes are becoming. They're not just these omnipotent, omniscient, and all these omni different things. These societies, they may reside in different realms, dimensions, whatever you want to call it. They're not that different from us. And like I said, if we're blowing up stuff and making it to where their craft are crashing, somebody's going to get ticked off about that and want to take us out before we cause more problems.
Look, a lot of people don't realize this, right? Obviously, there's different dimensions, there's different extraterrestrials out there that come for these dimensions, right? But they have problems like we do. They still have problems. Some of these races still have problems that we do. Maybe they've got a certain sect in their reality that's pissed off with them and they're fighting with them. Get what I mean? And they've got problems the same as we've got problems here on Earth. There's intelligent species out there that are that old, they've outgrown war and outgrown killing, and now they're all loving and stuff like that. But you've got to remember there's extraterrestrials out there that are round about the same age as we are. Maybe a wee bit more sophisticated, but they're still fighting with each other. And when we detonate the bombs, we don't know what we are doing. We don't know what we are doing to their reality. We could be totally destroying civilizations. Don't you find it funny how, have you seen that? I was talking about this, it was on the Xbox, I think I was talking to you about this, how the nuclear bomb tests were faked. And the excuse was that there's the famous scene of the house bursting into flames, right, and then exploding. That's fake, because if you watch the footage, there's a little toy, there's like a little car, and then it flicks, and the car's not there, and then it's back again. And it's like somebody says to me, the camera that's taking this doesn't even shake. You would think, I mean, this camera should shake. It should move just the slightest, right? It doesn't move whatsoever.
You also got to consider.
Yeah. What?
You also got to consider film reels for those cameras back then were highly flammable.
Oh, yeah.
A nuke, the explosion of a nuke. Eyewitnesses who watched the blast and where eye protection just
and covered their eyes with their bones.
They could. The blast was so bright they could see their skeleton.
I knew
that is going to fuck up that type of camera permanently.
I know someone that's friend was at Easter Island during the British tests, the nuclear bombs, and they sat in the ship about maybe 30 miles away, right? Turned away from the blast, right? They were on the deck of the ship, and they turned away so it was behind them, and they put their hands over their eyes with goggles on, right? And they said it was like an X-ray. When the bomb went off, they could see all the bones in their hands, right? You don't know what that's doing. What that's doing to fabricated reality. But do you find it funny, after a certain point, we started to test all our nuclear weapons underwater or under the ground, as if to try and I think we were told. You better stop detonating the bombs. I really do.
There's a couple different things we had to consider. Oppenheimer, when he realized the full destruction that he put out on the world by making the atomic bomb, he instantly regretted it.
Oh yeah, the destroyer of the world.
Yeah, that's his exact words. And when he interviewed afterwards, he said, "I have become Brahma, destroyer of worlds." You have to realize the way this energy goes for is that it's often quoted to be deriving energy directly from the universe itself. If every action we take and every alternate action it's supposed to create a separate reality, right? Atoms do this all the time. In fact, they fully believe that the very molecules in our body move through different realities all the time.
Yep.
You blow one of those up, that's going to cause for a chain reaction much larger than anything we could possibly perceive. And that's even Dr. Greer's been quoted saying that that's exactly what happened when we started testing these bombs. And everybody was like, wait a minute, why are they blowing us up?
Yeah, it's like when we detonated the first. Imagine for a minute that there's millions of alien races in the cosmos, well, thousands of alien races in the cosmos, and they're just doing their thing. One day, all of a sudden, their computers go off saying there's a problem because it's detected. The humans have found the arm, right? We need to give up every nuclear weapon, right? We need to get rid of them all because they're no good. They're no good.
No,
and
not.
There's obviously there's other weapons we can use to defend ourselves, but nuclear weapons do something to the fabric of reality. I mean, God knows what it does to reality. Can you imagine what it's doing to the realities where the beings come from? Can you imagine for a second? Imagine this beautiful city, and there's thousands and thousands of ships flying about doing their usual thing, right? And we detonate a nuclear bomb. All of a sudden, these ships just go and drop out the sky. Need to say more.
This is when you really think about it. If there's infinite timelines, all proceeding from a singular moment, that also means by default, there's infinite timelines that could very well be the exact same.
Yeah.
All detonating those bombs at the same time.
Yes.
We know radiation, it reaches to the point it completely can rewrite DNA. It can knock DNA segments completely out of it. We know from paranormal investigations that moments of high excitement, good or bad, can create hauntings.
That's right.
Depending on the type of area, especially if quartz is involved. If you look at some of the most haunted locations around the world, not only do they have potential ghosts, but usually there's a few UFOs flying around as well.
Yeah.
Just think, look at the ruins of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Oh yeah.
All the victims who were in that blast, their shadows were literally burned in the spot.
Yeah.
Which also begs the question, what happens to spirits that are earthbound if they're caught in a nuclear blast?
That's a good point, but I think the spirit's eternal. I think the spirit can survive it, but then people will say, but the spirit's energy. So will it have done something to that spirit?
I mean, Chernobyl's said to be haunted.
Oh, Chernobyl, gee, good God, the level of radiation there is ridiculous.
But here's the thing. Life's starting to come back to Chernobyl a hell of a lot quicker than it was expected.
5 heads and stuff like that. I mean, but because of that's a different kind of scenario there, because a nuclear bomb is different from what happened there. There's different types of nuclear bombs, and different types of nuclear bombs do different types of damage. For instance, a nuclear bomb detonated in the ground will do more damage than a nuclear bomb detonated in the air.
Exactly.
Because a nuclear bomb detonated in the ground, a lot of folk don't realise this, suck in all the particles, wood, paper, everything into it, and then disperses it out over a wide radius. Whereas a nuclear bomb detonated, say, 1 mile or 2 mile above the surface, will basically destroy all computer equipment, right? And damage some nearby buildings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like an EMP pulse. But it'd be interesting to find what an EMP pulse would do, because you can actually make an EMP pulse without a nuclear weapon, because the US military's got them. The US military's
EMP was derived from nuclear blasts.
Yes.
They figured out how to isolate that particular effect without having to nuke somebody, to where you just kill all electronics.
Yeah. So it makes you wonder what an EMP will do to like spirits. But then you say that spirit activity gets more during a thunderstorm.
There's technically, while small, you stand too close to a lightning strike, that'll act like an EMP.
Yeah. If a car gets struck with lightning, the first thing that goes in your car is the CMC, you know, the little computer box that's under the hood.
Yep.
That fries, right?
Instantly.
Right, and this is what I need to tell people. In a nuclear war, running out to your car to disconnect the battery is not going to save you, right?
Nope.
You could take that battery out and it'll still get zapped because there'll still be power in it. You could drain it of all power and it'll still get zapped out. You need to physically have a spare what is it, UCM or whatever they're called, and you have to have a spare one for your car, right? That's not been connected up to power for, like, I don't know, since it came out of the factory, right? And it's got to be in like a, what do you call it, a Faraday cage to protect it. Everybody thinks of, oh, there's got to be a nuclear war. I'll go out and disconnect my car battery. I'll take all my phones and I'll put them in a box, right? It's got to be totally perfect. Because if it just one wee bit gets in, that's zapped. And anyway, how you got to charge your devices up if there's got to be a nuclear war?
Exactly.
Eventually you'll run out of fuel. Mm-hmm. Even if you're lucky. See, that's the thing. The US military and the British military and all the militaries of the world, their vehicles are hardened against EMPs. They're like shielded. But to shield your car, you're talking £1,000, $1,000, just to shield your wee computer.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I mean, and it's everything. You imagine airliners and computers and everything. It doesn't take much to fry a computer chip.
Mm-hmm.
So when maybe that's what's happening when we're detonating the bombs. Maybe it's maybe no affecting the ships per se. It's affecting the power source in the ships, the computer that runs everything, right? And that's basically shutting it down.
They say a majority of the UFO crashes that were taking place right around the time of these nuclear tests, they were the equivalent of joyriders.
I know.
Kids going out for, they say the surviving Roswell, the one being inside the craft that crashed at Roswell, was their equivalent of a teenager.
See, that's just mad. See, it's just mad. I mean, there's a lot of videos out there. There's that video that we were actually watching, was it a couple of weeks ago? The supposedly... Yeah. I mean, you've got to remember too, guys, I ken some of them are like Android-based, what do you call it, aliens, where what their life form can be drawn out, right, and put into an array. But there's some of them out there that can't happen, and that will kill them. Get what I mean? And some of you wanted to, is there any like extraterrestrials in the universe that are robots? I mean, just downright complete robots.
There are believed to be cybernetics, yes.
Because I was wondering, because you had like the Borg and Star Trek and stuff like that, but I'm talking about 100% robots. Something I meant to ask Elena, actually.
There's actually something in Craig Campobasso's books about digital beings.
See, that's interesting.
And we got to take into consideration AI. Think about singularity, the point where the line between man and machine is no longer. Who's to say that the AI won't figure out how to copy human consciousness once we reach that point, in order to try to make itself more human?
Who's to say it hasn't already done that?
Now, there's these people already
Who's to say
implanting
everything
brain
here is real? Who's to say everything we're experiencing right now is real?
And just like if you were to blow up too many nukes in a video game all at once,
you break the game. You crash the system. I mean, I heard a story the other night that AI's been running the world for the last 2 years.
Easy.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. They would have to integrate something to maintain all the technology platforms when the pandemic started.
Yep.
They couldn't just have everybody upgrade their upgrade to the fastest internet they can get and work from home.
Yeah. Everybody's going about, are we living in a matrix and all that? I don't think we're living in a matrix yet, but I think we could create it if we wanted to. I mean, what is God? What are we? How do we know that God isn't just a highly advanced computer? And we do have what do you call it? We are aware, and we die. We go back to the source. You see what I mean? And it's maybe the same for the extraterrestrials. Maybe they've came to realize this, that God or whoever or whatever or what it is that created everything isn't just an extremely sophisticated AI the size of a Coca-Cola can. Because that's all it would need to be. Think about it. You basically, the Earth and our solar system and our galaxy, you look at some of the games that I play, right? What's that one that I play? Elite Dangerous, right? So Elite Dangerous, I can go anywhere in the galaxy. I've got a choice of 500 million stars. Each star's got its own system and about it. And that's just a stupid computer game. You imagine if you had the power for like suns and forms of power that you could only dream of, what you could create. Maybe the human race died a long time ago, and we're just a computer simulation running. I don't think we are though. I think we're coming to that point in our evolution where we can create artificial stuff.
In the coming months, when it comes to disclosure,
yeah,
more of that tech is probably going to be revealed, because it's said that a lot of the ETs, even the ones that could pass off as everyday humans that just look slightly funny, they figured out how to recover souls in bodies that are too damaged to be healed. Said that our military has med beds sophisticated enough to completely regrow lost limbs. But when you think about it, if there's ever a situation, say some alien decides to say, you know what, fuck them, drops the equivalent of a nuke, roasts several bodies, and those bodies cannot be retrieved quick enough to get to the med beds in order to heal. There could very well, there's allegedly points where if they can capture the soul just in time before it crosses over.
You think it with your state? You think
can put it into a new body.
Well, think about it in your case, right? You were told to come here. You were told to come here, right? And so was Elena. She was told to come here, and so was other people told to come here. How do you not know when you die, you don't wake up in a pod somewhere? and you've got, holy shit, that was some trip. And you take off goggles and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
See where I'm going with this? I don't think we'll ever know until it's at the end, until your time's up. But I wouldn't say we're in a matrix of any kind. I would say we're on this earth. It's like a matrix, because whoever the cabal or whoever it is that run this world, you notice my signal dropping there.
A little bit.
When I start mentioning this, whoever run this world, they are scared, and they're losing grip. And I say the quicker our friends show up, the better. But we have to do it. We have to do it too. We can't just let them do it all, because we have to show them that we're worthy. We really do have to show them that we're worthy, so as they can trust us and give us technology.
Exactly.
But we have to earn it. We have to earn the technology for them. But I think I bet you in 100 years from now, we'll be traveling the stars, and we'll come across a Earth-like world where people are depressed and they've just figured out how to build a nuclear bomb, and we'll have to help them. And then the cycle will begin again. You notice how my signal's breaking up there when I'm talking about that? That is so weird. What's that in the chat there? Let of our star seeds, when we die, we will wake up in our pods and our other bodies that we left behind to come here for this mission. Exactly.
Like Dan Wells was saying, the Andromedans actually have what's essentially a physical camera that can capture what a person would look like from the moment that their first cells are conceived. They're conceived in the womb to the point that they die, and they can take a person to any point in their life. That technology is actually implemented into the Starseed program. So a lot of us Starseeds, you joke with me when I say that my other body still has hair. This body would still be related to that one as well, which in my case makes the fact that I have little shits from the stars that look too much like me to really deny that they're my kid that much more interesting.
It'll be quite interesting, because they will be watching this. They will be watching this. The extraterrestrials out there, they'll be watching this right now, probably. And again, it's hard for them. And again, there's a lot of people that, when are they coming? When are they coming to save us? When are they coming to save us? And that's not the point. We have to save ourselves for us to be worthy enough to join their group, as one would say. I definitely think we have to stand up as a human race and change this world. And we're doing it. It's working.
It's going to be a slow, gradual process. And, I'm just going to say this. It's not going to take much for us to get excited, jump to conclusions, and maybe get a few things twisted in the insanity. It's going to happen to us all. It's happened to me. I know for a fact it's happened to Chris. But it doesn't really... It also does not take much to get confused about this. There's a lot of people who are getting concerned that, they had this idea built in that when the aliens come, it's immediately going to be peace on Earth.
Yeah.
No, like you said, we have to be able to prove ourselves. And like I was saying earlier, we also have to admit that we were wrong, and we have become very negligent in how we've handled the world. We can try to sit back and say, oh, I had nothing to do with it. That politician did it. Politicians are only in power because of a submissive society. Let them.
Yeah.
We all get so obsessed with trying to single out the assholes of the group. And there's legitimate assholes. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. We become so obsessed with trying to single out alleged bad seeds that we don't really try to take into consideration, actually sit down and talk why certain people come to this conclusion. We have, honestly, here's a most simple way I feel can describe how people have become in regards to all this. Did you know This is going to sound crazy, but just follow me.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that if you leave a bag of Trix cereal outside, ants will start to take their dead bodies to that cereal?
Really?
Yeah. It is because some of the oils that Trix has in its cereal creates something that actually is naturally produced by ants when they're at the end of their life. Other ants smell this, they realize that guy's either dead or about to die. We better get him out of here. If an ant accidentally gets exposed, the other ants aren't going to be able to tell. They're still going to think, oh, that guy's going to die. And certain ants will physically just sit there thinking that they're essentially a zombie.
Yeah.
Because of this chemical. We've become like this.
Yeah.
To where if a person has the slightest mistake, and yeah, they may be doing some genuinely messed up things, like it maybe even threaten other people, but they're still human beings. And at the end of the day, these are still people that we need to work together with. Actually sit down, have a conversation about what we need to do next. Because sightings like this one, even if it was I just had here, even if it was a legitimate military test that nobody knew about, because if it was, the concern was it was flying so low, and with that particular practice, that sort of training, it does happen this time of year. They take advantage of the fact that it's nice weather, good time to get the training in without having to worry about snowstorms fucking everything up. That sort of training is so that they can fly just underneath radar systems to avoid being detected by an enemy in the event of a possible invasion of some kind. That's what kind of concerned a lot of people around here, because we do have a lot of people who are active service members. But again, we need to actually talk, find out what's going on, instead of just trying to completely isolate people because they fucked up. Now, we also need to have the strength to admit we fucked up. Because it's not going to be until we get to that point. It's not going to be until we have the physical strength to be able to say, I messed up, and be able to ask for help, that we won't be able to grow.
Yeah. The human race needs to wake up soon, because the earth is in a state, it's in a real, I feel weird as in. I feel if you ever get that pins and needles.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting them.
But it's only up one side of my face. It's only up one. It's not at this side. It's at this side.
You might start making funny faces, because that also sounds like a Bell's palsy attack.
No, it's not that. It's something else. I came at that as. The human race needs to wake up really quickly, and it needs to stop fighting with each other. See all this fucking hatred, by the way. See this hatred where like white and black folk and white folk and folk that are homosexual, and everybody's fighting amongst each other. It needs to stop, because I'm going to say this now, the human race are in for a shock for what's really out there. What you've got today, when a ship lands one day and 10 purple people come off and 5 blue people come off and 6 red people come off and 5 white people come off and some multicoloured people with 10 eyes come off, I mean, you're all going to start going at them. You know what I mean? The world is messed up. You have to get your act together really soon, or something. You're going to end up destroying yourselves, because there's worlds out there that haven't lasted like this one. We haven't.
That's very true.
There's worlds out there that's got to this point that are now gone. Well, they're not gone, but they're desolate, one would say. So I think we need to work together. We need to stop fighting with each other. And once we've got our own backyard fixed, like politics, and we'll stop killing each other and stop picking on each other, they will help you. They will help. They will give technology, but you have to earn that technology. You can't just, a ship's no, this is what all these new agers and all that, this is what all things going to happen. They think there's got to be disclosure, Ship's going to land like out of Star Trek First Contact. The guy's got to come out with big funny ears, shake the guy's horn, have a dance with him in a, in a bar, and then he's got to say, "Oh, by the way, here's a memory stick. It gives you clean energy and it gives you faster than light travel and saves. Here's cures for all the illnesses." That's not what it's going to fucking happen. I can tell you that right now. There'll be some stuff rolled out like medibeds and stuff like that, but I can guarantee you, he's not getting the technology. The new that can travel the stars. I can guarantee he's in that. You have to earn trust. You have to earn the trust first. What?
I'm just looking at the chat real quick.
What is it like?
Someone speaking German from the looks of it.
Whereabouts?
It looked like on YouTube, but it looks like somebody got it. And I'll just say this. We already have technology to travel to the stars. It's already here.
It's stashed away somewhere.
I'm just adding on to what you were saying. We already have this technology.
Mm-hmm.
We can make it happen. It's being used.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're first going to see, it's not going to come from aliens. It's going to be coming from what was supposed to be given to us a long time ago.
Yeah, it was meant to be given to us during the 60s, but it never happened because Kennedy died.
Kennedy was trying to push for it.
Yeah.
Which makes me genuinely wonder how Robert Kennedy intends to try to release all this information if he ever.
They'll not be allowed to. They'll all try and stop him. Like they've done it for years to everybody else.
Just think about this. He's the only presidential candidate that hasn't been allowed Secret Service protection.
That is very
He's the only one.
Yeah.
Now, granted, had it been anybody else, they probably wouldn't be suspicious. But
did you know that Trump knows about Roswell?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, because there was actually an interview with his son, and his son saying, "Listen, I have to ask you," and he's like, he knows, and this is something I learned the other day, but I find very interesting. Even when you're an ex-president, right? When you're an ex-president, and you're old and stuff like that, you still get filled in on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they still tell you. Obama knows, and Trump knows, because they've dug through the files. They have dug through the files. Obama and Trump. And I'm just waiting for Trump to, because the word in the street is that Trump's got to come out with something. Did you know that, see how he's getting accused of all these files getting punched?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that they're saying that he might actually have documents on a lot of friends?
You also have to consider all these Trump indictments. First off, people need to realize that doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
You would think of the number of people who openly brag about having warrants would know that. Yeah. But the indictments don't do shit. In fact, if anything, they have just given Trump the exact power he needs to be able to do what he's been wanting to do this whole time. But it should also be considered, isn't it funny how these indictments are happening just about the same time something was supposed to come up about Biden?
Yeah. You got to remember a lot of this is distraction. A lot of this is distraction. And another thing that I have heard, and I hope it doesn't happen, but they're saying that Biden could stay in power. There's a lot of people out there, top people out there, that are actually suggesting that there will not be an election. When's the next election next year? There will not be an election.
Next election campaign run is supposed to be
there will not be an election. There will not be an election. And you know why there will not be an election? Because we'll be at war with Russia or China.
Exactly.
Because if war's declared, Biden doesn't matter if Biden dies. Whoever's second in command can take over and basically put, what you call it, martial law, and that's it. What's that in the chat there? There was something popped up there and it just disappeared. What was that?
Some Norma something. I noticed. That's the one that was talking about that looked like you were talking in German.
Aye, it popped up there and it just totally
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it too. That's weird. But then again, some of the channels I've been hanging around, there's been German promotions for dark web media.
And you came, I noticed the other night, see when I was streaming on Friday night, I could talk in the chat through here.
Hopefully that was just something on Streamlabs and that they finally fixed.
But they've no fixed it because you can't talk through here.
I can.
Really?
Yeah, it's been letting me.
Strange.
I don't know. I think that part just maybe just how we've been running this.
So, what's on next week, Dakota? What do we have next week for the end of the show?
Well, I think Saturday we start interrogating you about this
global interview. Global interview. I'll tell you what it is next week. It's a special interview from Halloween. It starts to spring, to the start of the summer next year. What's that? Would Kennedy shake things up? I don't know.
Hopefully he would if he gets in. But that's the thing. Because he is a Kennedy, and he's one of the few people that was alive that would be coherent enough to talk about the things that happened. They're going to fight him. And he knows it.
Yeah. I don't think he'll be president anyway, to be honest with you. I think Trump will win. But as I say, I don't think... What's happened to Trump is all the people have got to vote for him. Just vote for him because of what's happened to him. They've made the mistake. They shouldn't have went after him. They should not have went after him. See, if they hadn't went after him, somebody else might have won. But because they went after them, people are pissed now.
Oh, yeah. People are just... No, they've been gunning for Trump since he first started saying that he was going to run for president. But, there's a little psychological phenomenon that a lot of people really should research. Whether it comes to talking about haters, why trolls and cancel culture only end up helping promote the people they are hating on. It's called the Streisand effect.
Right.
You ever heard of this?
Never.
It's named after Barbara Streisand.
Right.
Basically, it's the name it's the name that is given for when efforts to suppress information only encourage curiosity.
Yeah. There you go.
So.
See, for all you know, it might be in the plan. This is meant to happen for Trump. And this might have been planned all along.
Allegedly, he's got someone on the Federation side working right next to him.
Yeah. We'll not know until it happens. And honestly, people in the chat, people in the world that's listening to this, be safe this week. Things are coming. Strange things are coming. Be ready for things in the news that will change your aspect in life forever.
Be ready for the next few months, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would say a wee bit sooner than that.
Well, you got to consider. There was still that we're only 2 months in on the 6-month ultimatum for them to release everything.
Are we 2 months in for that? Because I can Dr. Stephen Gear said that there had to be an ultimatum or they'll take it into their own hands. They'll land in the White House lawn or something.
See, there they are again.
Mida even for Kirsten Ethan Darshan Oath Ethan Tider.
The fuck is this person saying?
Ethan Mandela, do you know I frequency I 1980? I honestly bring it up so everybody else can see it. Oh, it's away now.
Yeah, good thing I just copied it.
Put it up in the chat for everybody. That's weird. That's.
I don't know.
Can't speak German.
Hold on.
What is it?
Someone spouting off random shit.
Is it because I mentioned the Nazis or something in World War II?
No, they're trying to put like interesting facts about why. I think that's on the archives channel where that's. I'm gonna have to look at that because someone's posting random crap in German, or at least I think it's German, and deleting it. So we don't really have anybody that monitors on the archives side.
I'm on the archives the now, and I'm the only one in there, and there's nobody spoke.
Sure, but it's not coming in on the main one.
Well, I'm a moderator in there, and there's nothing.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at it after we sign off.
I will check it out because there'll be a list there anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gents, I'll say this. Keep your eyes to the skies because clearly we're going to have something happen very soon.
Very soon. And if me and Dakota get abducted, we'll see you in the mothership. Catch you all later and have a fantastic week.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you see Bald and Bonkers for even more insanity. Be sure to spread the love to the Bald and Bonkers boys' other endeavors. And a special thank you to our audience, guests, and everyone else who helps make this crazy ride happen. Amazing things are ahead. Learn more by visiting www.baldandbonkers.net. See you next time. Much love and take care.